on YouTube and Sensei, the place to be. Children, Mr. A&D. Back to give you guys a midweek wrestling review of NXT and AEW Dynamite. So, interesting shows that we have for tonight, though, man. We're gonna have to start with NXT because NXT has Roadblock End of the Line coming up next week. Also, it's their show pay-per-view type thing, but it's not their big pay-per-view because that's Stand Deliver, which is going to be on WrestleMania weekend. And I actually thought tonight's episode was a solid episode of NXT. So to get started with NXT, first of all, I thought it started off in a very unique way. They start off with a brawl. And you're like, what the hell everybody is fighting for? And like, literally, all the NXT people in the back you can think of is sitting there just fighting each other. And you're like, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then we see Wesley in the ring. Wesley's in the ring. And I was like, oh, he made an open challenge for the North American Championship. Whoever can get to the ring first will get that shot at the North American Championship. So, Malik and Idris, make it out there first out of the brawl. They try to go rob people to the shoot, but then Dobby Kato or Commander Aziz, what you want to call him, knocks them both down. And as he's coming to the ring, I'm just like, oh shit, how they gonna get out of that one? But then here comes Apollo Crews and beating him down because that rivalry's still not done yet. And as they're fighting, Nelson Frazier flies up from over top of them and gets to the ring first, and he is the one slated for the match with Wesley. So he's the returning Nathan Frazier's there. So ding ding, they had a matchup. The match is really good. These guys are really good. Nathan Frazier is really good. He gives a special DDT to Wesley, and Wesley kicks out. He puts him on top rope. He goes for a superplex. Wesley takes him down. Frazier runs back up there, hits another suplex and Falcon's Arrow, and then Wesley does kick out. Goes to the outside of the ring. When Frazier comes back in, Wesley hits his that handspring back kick that he does, wins the matchup. It was a really good matchup, really good opener for the North American Championship. So I was just like, okay, yeah, you know what? I like, having Nathan Frazier return, because I forgot he was out for a little bit for the injury, stuff like that. So they have this little backstage promo, JD McDonough is laying down and he's talking about Ilya Dragunov, which is obviously setting up. They're not going to do this at Roadblock End of the Line. They're going to be doing this at Stand Deliver, I believe. So that should be a good match also. He will make him suffer and send him home permanently. Josh Briggs and Book Jensen are warming up, and they are, when it comes to boot scooting, that's why I call them, because of Trick Williams called them. You know what I'm saying? I really don't care about them too much. So it was on the background. I just seen them warming up. I didn't really care go into what happened, what they said. Backstage, Hank Walker, who was involved in the brawl, talks to Drew Gulak, how he wanted to shot North American Championship, and then Axiom was just like, yo man, what was up with that? What was up there earlier? You almost knocked me out. He was like, yeah, it got kind of chaotic. Well, he was like, you really didn't have a chance to win the championship anyway, which sets up an impromptu matchup of Axiom and Hank Walker later on in the show. Veer Mahan, Indoshare, I believe what they call Veer Mahan and Senga, took on boot scooting Brooke Jensen and Josh Briggs. Didn't too care for much of the matchup with the tag team. Indoshare wins the matchup. Afterwards, when Jinder gets in the ring, they stayed out a call to the Creed brothers for next week at Roadblock. Then we get back. Gigi Dolan comes to the ring. She has a black rose, and I thought this was a really good promo segment by Gigi Dolan. She comes to the ring, and she says, she's screaming to the ring. She says, her life changed when she got her head kicked in 3 weeks ago by JCJ. And boy, if y'all ain't see that kick, she kicked shit out of her. I'm sorry. And she talks about how that's not the first time in her life that she has, dealt with big betrayal, because the same thing happened with her mother. Her mother had her as her own punching bag. And then when she got the courage to finally get up and run away from home, she told her little brother that she was going to make it in the WWE. Touching story. And she said that, Jason knows that because I expressed, I told everything to Jason. It was cool being the mean girls in Toxic Attraction. But, it's fun challenging her own little demons, but deep down inside she was just happy to survive. So, tells Jason Jane, whatever you got, you better bring it all next week, because it will not be enough, because she will bring every bit of pain. suffering and rage up inside her, and then hammer the final nail in the coffin of Toxic Attraction. You know, it was a good promo. And it was like, you know, I've had my things about JC Jane, about not JC Jane, Gigi Dolan, something she used to do back in the past, but I do know she's a really decent wrestler. My thing is, the WWE, even in NXT, does not have legit tag teams. They don't. And when you have tag team titles for both women, for both NXT and WWE main roster, which I think is stupid in the first place, it's like you gotta try to keep as many teams as you can. Other than Toxic Attraction before they broke up and KC2, there really are no legit teams. And even same thing, other than Damage Control on the main roster, there's no legit teams. But, you know, you can tell what the afterthought is. But still, I think it should be a decent matchup. And then now they're going to go off on their own and do their own thing. I still would just like to see if Toxic Attraction kept on the main roster as a stable with Mandy Rose, even though she got fired. But it just sucks to see, as high as Toxic Attraction was on NXT, what they could have brought up to the main roster. That's all I'm saying. We go to Chase University Classroom. Did someone say Andre Chase? Well, yes. And as he's in there, giving a lecture, on the little projector he has behind us, Schism comes on, and they cut a promo talking about how how fake Chase U is. You should be part of Chase U, and I this is the first time I got to see what's the Rock daughter's name? Ava, was it Ava Fire? Ava no, that's Alba Fire. Ava something. Ava Rain. This is the first time I got to see her talk. First time I got to see her in any kind of action, because I just seen the clip of when she joined Schism. I haven't seen nothing since then, because I'm not a fan of Schism. Okay, so when they were saying it was a really creepy and scary type of promo as they burned the Chase University t-shirts, and when they put these creepy masks on, it just it was a good like creepy video. And Andre Chase says, you're not going to there's no time for questions. Chase will not let nobody talk about his students this way. He promises to hand deliver Joe Gacy a Chase University size ass whooping at Roadblock, and show students what principles Chase U is built on. Here's my thing. I thought the whole promo thing with Schism was good. I actually thought it was damn good. Here's my thing about Schism, though. When Joe Gacy came out as the whole woke character, as they would say, even though I still hate using that terminology, because never mind, that's another story. But when he came out as the woke character, I was just like, this is interesting. How they gonna take it? And then it got, everybody was like, we got to get canceled, and everybody was looking up into it, like, what's wrong with this guy? And it was caused a big fuss in the first week. And I was like, well, as a heel, that's probably what they want to get. But I guess it got too much negative press. They dumbed it down a lot. Okay, from what Joe Gacy was originally doing to now. And then the whole thing with, after that, he just became like the NXT Undertaker. And I was just like, this is going away from that character that when Joe Gacy was first introduced. And it completely turned me off to it. Then they did the whole Schism thing, which because you're using the little Watchman smiley face. And I was like, this is really throwing me off. And to be fair, I never gave them a chance. And then they brought the Rock's daughter in, and I was like, oh god, they bring her to a group to die, because I wasn't into Schism. But seeing this now, I was like, because now it's turned away completely with something I like. I was like, this looks interesting. Okay, so maybe I need to go check out more of the Schism thing. Like I said, I was really into it when the whole thing with Joe Gacy at the very beginning of what he was doing. But now I was just like, I wasn't into Schism. So I haven't been following them to really be. Because you may look at it and be like, you know something that I may not know. They're saying. They had Maliko Satomura taking on Zoe Starks. You know this was going to be good, and definitely was going to be good. So, but before then, we have Dijak, who's healed from his finger, that accepts Tony D'Angelo's challenge to a jailhouse street fight next week at Roadblock end of the line. So then after we got that, the bell rings for Maliko and Zoe Starks. They have a really decent matchup. I thought these two flesh well. And then Maliko won with her little standing, like she runs up Zoe's back and drops like a heel kick on her head. I was like, that looked good, to be honest with you. So she wins the matchup. So next week it will be, was it next week or Stand Deliver? I'm not necessarily sure, but next week, it is next week at Roadblock. It will be Roxanne Perez taking on Maliko Satomura. How Roxanne gonna win that match? How they gonna book that? I don't know, but Roxanne's a damn good performer as well in her own right. So I'm curious to see how this is going to go. Grayson Waller, keeps calling out the president of talent development, Shawn Michaels, and he wants Shawn Michaels to come out on his Waller Effect show at Roadblock next week. And HBK tweets to accept the invitation. I hope that I set up a match at St. Deliver between Grayson Waller and Shawn Michaels. Please don't do that. Wendy Chu has been taken out somewhere in the parking lot, and Tiffany Stratton is doesn't really care. She just doesn't want to hang out in NXT parking lots because she has a match coming up later and she wants attention on her. So Roca versus Elektra Lopez is up next. Here's the thing. This is my first time seeing So Roca. Okay, this woman is very athletic. Here's the thing. The times when I review NXT, I usually go skim through it, watch some YouTube things. This is the first time in a long time I actually sat down and watched 2 hours of NXT. And I'm like, this new NXT. And So Roca is really, really pretty good. Elektra Lopez comes out. I forgot what woman she comes out with. She's looking for the brass knucks used on So Roca. But then when her homie doesn't give her the brass knucks, So Roca hits her. Bounce. She steps up on the middle rope and does a flipping cutter. That is impressive. And wins the matchup. Afterwards, Homegirl gets in there and knocks out Elektra Lopez with the brass knucks. So that is the end of that. I was like, okay, so I didn't know what the big whole thing was anyway. I missed the whole Gallus thing backstage. We got Katana Chance taking on Tiffany Stratton. This matchup was just basically, it was not another matchup as who starts coming down. Alba Fire and Isa Dawn come down and kind of distracts King Carter and Katana Chance, and then it gives enough time for Tiffany Stratton to hit her best moonsault ever, the BME. All she does is hit Katana Chance's legs, though. She really don't get her good at all. But then she covers her and wins the matchup. So after the match, Stratton stands tall, the music hits, and Carter helps Chance to the floor. And then she said she gets on the mic and says she's proved that she's good enough. So whoever wins between them women next week, she wants a piece of. She wants a championship shot. So okay, cool. We have Axiom taking on Hank Walker, which just was just another match just to showcase more of Axiom stuff. Axiom wins with that ratio kick to the jaw, which I like. I thought was pretty cool. After the match, Axiom, he's on the stage. You can see schisms or scripts at the top. And I was like, is he about to attack Axiom? Did he miss his cue or whatever? He's just standing up there. And then he goes back to, give his, Axiom goes back to Hank Walker who's sitting on the apron. Just like, respect. He gives him respect. And then when you look back, Scripps is gone. And I was like, was that like a little Easter egg? Did he miss his call? Was he supposed to go out there and jump? I don't know. Did he not know the camera was on? Because I was like, that's clearly Scripps back there. So, I don't know. I couldn't find anything else about that. Main event time we got is Carmelo Hayes, Mello Don't Miss versus Tyler Bate. You knew it was going to be good because I'm telling you right now, they were at the beginning doing all kinds. Tyler Bate is just a freaking genius at this thing. And Carmelo Hayes keeping up with him is a freak. Like, these two guys, like, for the first 5 minutes was just them trying to out-wrestle each other and get one over on each other. And it usually that, like, they could bore me sometimes. This one really did good. So, that was really good. They go back and forth, close calls. Fans chant NXT, and this is awesome. Bate goes back up to the top rope to go and hit a. Is it a 450? He tried to hit. There's one move that he does. He does like a like a fisherman suplex on the top rope on the Carmelo Hayes, but he kicks out of that. As Bate goes to the top, he misses, and then Melo hits a cold breaker, then hits his top rope flying leg drop for the win. Carmelo Hayes wins the matchup. After that, Melo just talks about how he's going to stand and deliver to take that championship from Braun Breaker. And that was NXT. So, actually, for the first time me sitting there and actually watching it, I thought NXT was a dope show. I was like, okay, this is pretty good. I need to take time to actually sit down and watch NXT because I was like, all these new stars I didn't even know anything more about. Now it's time for AEW Dynamite. It is Wednesday. You do know what that means. Okay, well, not really. It's kind of the next day. But anyway, so we got Dynamite. This is going to be the lead-in to Revolution that's happening this Sunday, March 5th. I did the predictions already. There's one match that was added that was not when we talked about our predictions before, but all of our predictions, we did that part on the podcast. We're going to put up that section today, so you guys listen to it right before a Revolution. How I'm going to review it, I don't know, because I'm busy this weekend. Will I be able to get a chance to order it? I don't think I'm so, because look, I'm like, I am trying to go see Creed, to be honest with you, but you know what I'm saying. But if I don't have a review Sunday night, Monday, you know, it'll be there. It won't be live, unfortunately. I can't go live with the AEW ones because I'm not always going to pay for the pay-per-view all the time. Or sometimes if I do, it's going to be late. So that's what I'm just saying. But we kick off Dynamite this week with Orange Cassidy taking on the Firm's Big Bill with Stokely Hathaway, who looked like he's about to, go to the Juice and the Black Messiah, meeting. So, this is the thing of size, different styles, because styles and stuff like that. I thought it was a decent matchup. I really do. I thought it was actually pretty good, because in the beginning, Cassie's using his speed, to do the kind of stuff and to get out of the way of Big Bill, so it kind of frustrating him and rolling him out the ring and stuff like that. So on the outside, Stokely Hathaway gets a table and Big Bill gets a table, and they bring it right there at the bottom of the ramp. And Big Bill's trying to give Orange Cassidy a chokeslam through that, but he's fighting through that. But then eventually he does give him a chokeslam through the table. Danhausen comes to the ring, and then he is trying to do the Danhausen curse on Stokely Hathaway. Big Bill comes out and blocks him. He tries to do the curse on Big Bill, but Big Bill's like, no, I'm going to just chokeslam this dude. But before he chokeslams him, Stokely's like, hold on, no, I got a better idea. And he hits him with this cast that he got on his arm to take out Danhausen. But then Orange Cassidy comes out, and then he starts giving him the orange punch, hits Big Bill in the knee, then double drop kicks him to the steel steps, just beating him down. Back in the ring, he connects with the Stun Dog Millionaire and spikes Big Bill with a DDT, and then goes for 2 more orange punches. Then he jumps off the top rope and blasts him with a 3rd orange punch, and then he wins the matchup. Orange Cassidy beats Big Bill, and I thought it was a real decent opener. Next up, we have the Trios Champions, the Elite, coming out, and as they're about to come to the ramp, all of a sudden, you see their usual entrance and their silhouettes, and then all of a sudden the lights went dark, and then when lights came back on, you saw 3 more silhouettes behind the Elite, which was the House of Black. And then the lights go off again, and you just start hear just fighting and beating them up. And then after the lights come back on again, the Elite is down. House of Black is sitting there holding the Trios Championships. And that was just a segment right there. There was no talking. There was no promo work. I was just like, I could have used a segment or promo work. I mean, you'll probably cut for time and stuff. The other things you could have cut. But I was like, I guess it had to do something, but that's what it was. The face of the Revolution ladder match, which is usually at Revolution, but since they got a 60-minute Iron Man matchup, that just obviously takes up about 2 or 3 match spaces. So you gotta have the ladder match here on the show. So we got Takeshita taking on Ortiz versus AR Fox, Eddie Kingston, Powerhouse Hobbs, Sammy Guevara, Action Andrade, and this new signing, Commander. Samoa Joe's on commentary for the matchup. Ortiz and Kingston start brawling to the outside, and then they just beat each other up to the ramp, and they're out the matchup. That's what happened, and we'll get to Eddie Kingston, after a little bit after the matchup. So AR Fox goes the suicide dive, and then Powerhouse they have a like a ladder set up a turnbuckle. Powerhouse Hobbs just throws AR Fox into the ladder, and then Takeshi and Hobbs start trading forearms with each other, and then Takeshi hits like a deadlift throwing German suplex to Will Hobbs. I was like, that's just impressive. AR Fox goes back and launches himself to the outside with the senton, and then this was one of the craziest spots in the match. Commander, okay, so you know where the ramp is at when they get into the ring. They're all fighting down there. Commander's on the other side of the ring, on top turnbuckle, walks the tightrope like he's Shelton Benjamin in 2001, all the way across. No hands, no Undertaker, let me hold the hand type thing. He walks the ropes and then does like a corkscrew moonsault to the other side and takes all the guys out. I'm not a big fan of Apollo spots. You guys know that, but let me tell you something right now. That was awesome. That was awesome. Hobbs tries to, suplex Commander, but then AR Fox hits him with a steel chair. Hobbs and Takeshi collide in the ring with lariats, and Action Andretti comes out, and there's a ladder up there with him and Sammy Guevara, because Sammy Guevara's trying to go up the ladder. And there's a ladder right there, and there's like a ladder bridge from the ropes to the ladder. And I was just like, God, these spots be scary because the way the ladder and the rope ricochet, like when Finn Balor flew up after trying to hit that, that sunset flip powerbomb on him. Well, Action Andretti goes for a Falcon's Arrow. He actually is holding Sammy Guevara on top of the ladder, and there's a Falcon's Arrow to the ladder that's right there, but his leg is caught in between the ladders, and I was like, oh my God, this kid could rip his ACL or his knee or anything like that, because his leg got caught up in the ladder. It was very, very scary. So Commander goes to the top of the ladder, reaching for the brass ring, but Takeshi meets him up there, and then he hits a blue thunder bomb to Commander off the top of the ladder. I love Sami Zayn's blue thunder bomb. I ain't never seen a blue thunder bomb off the top of the ladder. I'm not saying to take Takeshi's blue thunder bomb is better. I'm just saying I never seen a blue thunder bomb off the top of the ladder. There's on the other side of the ring, there's also a ladder bridge that's set up between the ring and the ladders on the outside. And Hobbs gives AR Fox a Death Valley driver onto that ladder. And you can tell that sucked. And then Commander comes from the other side and does a shooting star press to AR Fox right there where he's across the ladder, because the ladder didn't break. Across the ladder, and then I was like, my God, these guys are going all out for TV. Then Danny Garcia comes out, and he goes and he beat up Action Andretti, and they set up a ladder, like you know how WWE used to do a ladder bridge between the ring and the barricade. Well, it was like that, but it was lower. So it was like maybe a couple inches off the ground, opposed to a couple feet off the ground. And he puts Action Andretti on there, and then Sammy Guevara takes a big ladder, just like Jeff Hart, goes to the top, and then hits a swanton bomb from the top, very top of the ladder, down through the ladder on Action Andretti. So he's out. But Danny Garcia takes Sammy Guevara and tries to push him and like will him up the ladder and tries to do that. But then Takeshi takes down Guevara, and then he climbs the ladder. But then Will Hobbs comes in there and just like manhandles the ladder. He just like rushes it, and it bends the ladder up and everything. And instead of going to get the new ladder, he like, nah, refs, come in here and hold this. And they go and hold it, and then Will Hobbs wins the brass ring. So honestly, first of all, I'm glad Will Hobbs won. Will Hobbs, it's about time for the Will Hobbs push. I'm a fan of Will Hobbs. I was like, it's about time that he won that matchup. So, good pickup for Will Hobbs, and good pickup for my wife, because she picked it for the fantasy. Samoa Joe is on commentary, and he's like, he's about to face down Hobbs. But then Wardlow comes out, and then him and Joe start facing down, and the security tries to block Wardlow. He got to beat up security, right? And then Hobbs is sitting there with the ring like, yo, man, I got time. Take your time. Y'all the ones that got to fight at Revolution, so take your time. He powerbombs one of the security off the stage into the pile of other security guards, stuff like that. And then Joe just makes he disappears. So I thought it was really cool. One thing I did not say, which happened backstage, was that Jon Moxley cut an awesome promo. He's bleeding. This was actually that happened last week. It was taped last week. It was right after the match. He was bleeding in the back and everything. But they didn't use it last week. They used it for this week to hype up the match to Revolution, and then telling Adam Page that he really does not know what he is getting into, and he's a man that loves to inflict the pain and stuff like that. It was just really good. It was like a really good Jon Moxley promo. Because when that greatness happened, this shit back here happens when Chuck Taylor and Trent are not clear to compete in the casino tag team battle royal. But Danhausen and Orange Cassidy will take their place because they're best friends too. I was like, oh my God. I know a lot of people do. And I know it's an unpopular opinion, but guess what? I don't like the best friends. I've never been a fan. Even when AEW first started, I'm not a fan of the best friends. I'm just not. I'm sorry. I don't care about Chucky and Trent. I don't care. Okay, so when and then now putting Danhausen and Orange Cassidy, I'm just like, why does it even have to be a fatal 4-way? But I will get to that later. Chris Jericho versus Peter Avalon. Avalon went right after Jericho, and I guess a couple hits in, but Jericho like, yo man, get off me. Code Breaker is done. Jericho grabbed the baseball bat, and then he was about to beat down Avalon, but then Ricky Starks comes into the ring, but then Jericho Appreciation Society jump him. Jake Hager and Danny Garcia come out, and then Jericho hits Starks with the Judas Effect. But then now we get an interview with Christian Cage, who's back, and Christian Cage said, for the better part of the last 6 months, I beat Jungle Boy at will, and he's saying in 2023 he's going to win a singles championship because I was done with Jungle Boy until he said that over my dead body, okay? Now, Christian says, now, Jack, I've been watching your matches for the past month. Do you want to roll up somebody for a quick win, or do you want to beat somebody for the championship? I'll show you a real man conducts business when I smashed you with a chair and left you in the pool of your own blood and piss. I want to win the championship so I can go home. So you want to win the championship, you can go home and show it to mommy. You treat this business like a video game. Nobody can do the things that I do inside this ring. I am one of one. Unlike your generation, I treat this business like an ATM. I'm not done milking it dry. So I challenge you this Sunday. No rules, no regulation, just a fight. Not a wrestling match, a fight. At the end of the day, you're just your father's son. And no talent, heck, in this business is not for this business. Not for you, kid. If you got any grit, got what it takes. You don't have an ounce of what I have inside. But then the lights go dark because we got like Apollo Taker. We got Jack Taker right now, or Jungle Taker, and you see on screen that it's Jack Perry digging the grave, and the tombstone says Christian Cage. And I'm like, I like these kind of things, but however, it's just like that's kind of like Undertaker type thing, or those kind of characters. But I like it for this situation. Like, yeah, if you want to fight, I'm gonna kill you. FTW Championship match that did not need to be on this show, did not need for any of this, is Hook taking on Matt Hardy. Dead serious. So, this was background music for me. I was doing something else, but I was in the background. Hook makes Matt Hardy tap out. Okay. Tony Storm taking on Riho. It was an okay matchup. Both Tony Storm and Riho not on the card. They only got one. Well, I mean, it's an Iron Man match. So I know they probably only gonna put the Women's Championship on there as well. As Ruby Soho's music came, it distracted Tony Storm, and then she got rolled up by Riho. So was it Tony Storm or was it Jamie Hayter? One of them, with Britt Baker. They came down to the ring and they started fighting, and then all of a sudden Saraya came down. Saraya and Jamie Hayter going at it, but then Ruby Soho comes down and it's like, well, who's she going to hit? So she hits Saraya and the crowd pops, but then she's in the triple threat match. It's Jamie Hayter, so all three of them kind of start fighting. So I still have a pick for Jamie Hayter to win on Sunday. Revolution Casino Tag Team Battle Royal. Oh my God, how bad this shit was! Like, I was just like, this is one of the bad ones. This is one of the bad ones here. Look, I'm not gonna sit there and run down play by this damn battle royal. It was the Butcher and the Blade, Angelo Parker, Matt Menard, the JAS, Preston Vance and Roosh, Lucha Brothers, Top Flight, Blackpool Combat Club, Danhausen and Orange Cassidy, Aussie Open, The Kingdom, and Dark Order. The Dark Order sucks. John Silvers and Alex Reynolds. Who cares? And this match sucked. And I thought it was supposed to be a casino or battle royal where they have like, each, how they do the casino stuff, where each part of the cards come out different battle royal. No, they had like a regular Royal Rumble style pay-per-view with no Joker. I was like, because I was like, are they going to add a special team to this match? No, they added Danhausen and Orange Cassidy, and the final three teams was Danhausen and Orange Cassidy, the Blackpool Combat Club, and oh my god, I can't remember who was the Butcher and the Blade. Really, and at the end, Danhausen and Orange Cassidy win this matchup. This match sucked. It was terrible. I hate the pay-per-view, not the pay-per-view. I hate the battle royal, and it don't need to be this. I understand we got 4 pay-per-views to try to get everybody on the card. We don't need a 4-way tag team match for a championship that the Acclaim never should have lost to the Gun Club. Just put a step to the match or a gimmick with the guns, and let the Acclaim win the tag team titles back. There's no need for Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, and there's definitely no need for Orange Cassidy and Danhausen at all. There's no need for any of this crap. Main event promo. Bryan Danielson comes out. We were almost running low on time here, and he comes out. Over 7 years ago, he was forced to retire. A lady came back, said he would fight for you. You fight for him. But then MJF comes out. But before you get a word out, Bryan Danielson said, "Look, you take every shortcut. You cheat there. You're not gonna come out here and say anything like that. If there's one thing you deserve, it's your fiance leaving you." And then the crowd popped for that. He said, "I'm ready to fight anytime because unlike you, I was born silver spoon. I fought for everything. My dream is to become the AEW World Champion, and I wanted to fight for it. So Max, at Sunday, Rivers, you better be willing to fight for everything you have for 60 minutes. If you don't, I'm going to fucking kick your head in." And they had to blank out the fucking part, but that's what he said. So that was the final promo, and that was AEW. I thought, like I said, when it came to the ladder match was fun. The opener match with Orange Cassidy was fun. I liked the last segment, but everything else just dragged. It was just like, it just dragged. And I was like, actually, despite those 2 matches that was on Dynamite, I kind of a little bit like NXT this week. I kind of like a little bit more NXT this week. And also the promos between Moxley and Cage, were all good as well. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a slight edge to NXT this week of how I felt about it. My thoughts about Christian Cage and Jungle Boy or Jack Perry wins the matchup. That's what I'm saying. So post your comments down below. Make sure you guys check out my predictions. Hit the subscribe button for more wrestling content and pop culture content right here on NC Studios. So once again, it's NC, the place to be. Children, Mr. A&D, and the Nerd Coalition is out.